we are inviting on board to share their. All right, thank you so much. So I said it just makes sense that they are the first set of people that we are inviting on board to share their experience about how they started out in tech. And I very much believe, I mean, if you trust me too, that today is actually going to be a very interactive, enlightening expository session. That is, if you will permit me to make it such a wonderful experience for you. So thank you so much. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Favor Jesutomis in Godswill, and aside being the community manager for the Newton Techies community, I am the brand development consultant here in Newton Academy. So I would love to meet you too. If you would love to also introduce yourself, two, three people, your name, where you're joining us from, and just a little bit about what you do, like a job title is enough. Thank you. One, two persons, a little about you.
Okay. Um. Good evening, everybody. By name, I am Kodis Kolawole, also known as Imbrand PR, Grow Smart, and Inride. I'm currently joining from North Cyprus, and I am a graphics and brand designer. Also, I work with a blockchain company as the digital marketing and graphics director. Also, I work with a climate company. I'm the digital marketing director as well. Then I'm also an artificial intelligence engineering student, and that's just a very few thing about myself.
Hey, hey, I'm feeling terrorized. Oh, sorry, not terrorized. What word could I use? Somebody borrow me English. Is he oppressed? Abi, I'm feeling like I have no sense. See profile.
Intimidated.
All right, thank you so much, Mukadis, for joining from North Cyprus. How many of your North Cyprus friends do you have on this call? Like, how many people did you invite? I should have given you personal invitation card so that I invite your people from that side.
It's
Okay,
very
should
late
I
already. They'll probably not be awake. It's almost
really?
midnight here.
Okay, I think it's about you're 2 hours late earlier than we are, or sorry, later than we are.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
yeah.
like 2 hours
2 hours
ahead?
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so who else is going to be introducing himself or herself? Should I call a random name? I'm seeing my namesake Favor, and I don't know why I love this DP of Niyi. Niyi, you borrow me this sweet, oh. I'm seeing Rachel on the call. I'm seeing Nida. I'm seeing Olaiwola. I'm seeing Adeyemi. Very soon, I'm actually going to share my screen. As in, I started with my screen, I mean my face. I'm going to turn on my video very soon. So who else is introducing? I need one more person, please. Thank you. I'm checking the chat section too. Oh. Seems like nobody wants to do me the honors anymore. Okay, once we're 10. Okay, a hand is raised. Yeah. Okay,
Hello,
loud,
good
loud where
evening.
you are. That's fine. A hand is raised. You can speak, please. Just unmute yourself and speak.
Okay, good
Okay.
evening, everyone. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Frank Arimoro, and I'm a front end developer, but I took the full stack course in Newton Academy. Nice to meet you all.
Oh, nice to meet you too. That was such a simple, short, and interesting intro. So you are actually a front-end developer, but yeah, sounds interesting to learn. Full stack, and thank you for choosing Newton Academy. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. All right, right into the meat of the day. Let's bite in. Yeah. Oh, it's 10 minutes, and yeah, it makes sense to start. So, like I said, primarily, we are here to talk about the journey of a full stack web developer. And it makes sense that here we have on board three of our in-house persons and a student. Yeah, I said we're also going to be interviewing a student. So that is going to give us a bit of what it's like here in Newton Academy learning full stack web development. So let's start with our speakers introducing themselves. Let's start with our facilitators introducing themselves. I'll call on Mr. Gospel Lakai to introduce himself. Just a brief intro about you, your name, what you do, where you work, just little intro about you. We don't want to go into your story yet. Just a little intro about you. Thank you so much. Mr. Gospel, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gospel Likia. Shortly, people call me Likia. So I'm actually for senior software engineer with Newton Academy. Not just Newton Academy, but Newton. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Gospel Likia. Did I get the pronunciation correctly now?
Oh, it's Likia.
Likia. Don't worry, we'll sort that out in our DMs. I actually love to learn new names, like how to pronounce them correctly. One of my strengths is actually pronunciation, even though language is not my strength. So yeah, our second facilitator for the night is Daniel Albert. Please, can you give us a brief intro about yourself? Thank you.
Hi, Favor. And hi to everyone. Yeah,
Good
so
evening.
good evening to you too. So my name is Daniel Albert. I'm a front end. I'm also a full stack developer at Newton Academy. So I am so happy and glad to be here. I hope we'll have a fruitful engagement. Thank you.
All right, welcome, Daniel. Can you please just give a little detail about where you're joining us from? Are you here in Nigeria or some other part of the world?
Yeah, I can do that. I'm joining this from Kenya. So I'm actually a Kenyan.
All right, it's nice to meet you, Daniel.
That's
Mr. Gospel, can you also have that detail about you, sir?
Okay, I'm joining from Nigeria.
Okay, well done. Thank you so much. So our last
Sorry.
member of the panelists for the night is Princess Oluwafemi, and you have the floor, ma. A brief intro about you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening. My name is Oluwafemi Princess, and I'm the program manager for full stack development at Newton Academy.
All right, ma. Thank you so much for that sweet detail. And if nobody else tells you, I love your voice. Okay, what part of the world are you joining us from, please? Just kindly add that detail. Thank you.
I'm joining from Nigeria.
Oh, excellent. All right. So, fresh meat for the day. We're going straight into what it is that we have on the ground. Now, full stack web development, full stack web development, full stack web development. What's the journey like? We've heard this over and over again. But before delving straight into the journey, I believe it makes a lot of sense to actually set a great foundation for us to build on. What is the idea of full stack web development and its related terms? I get to hear software engineering, I get to hear web developer just basically, I get to hear front end, I get to hear back end, I get to hear software developer, and some will say they just deal in Android and iOS. So let's get to a meeting point as regards the terminologies that different people in this field use in defining themselves. Are all the names the same and people just deciding to bear different aspects because of what they do? What exactly are we driving at when it comes to full stack web development? I would leave this to Mr. Gospel to just give us a brief intro about what the word full stack web development is about. Thank you.
Okay. I feel I may not have the amount of knowledge to speak on being a full stack. And I don't know. Daniel is actually on the call, so he's a full stack engineer. But just to talk about it in the sense of definition, not the practice, right? So a full stack is someone who could conveniently handle both what we call the backend part of engineering or backend part of development, and then the front end part of development. So if you can conveniently handle those two, then we can refer to you as full stack. So for instance, if someone can actually build an application by themselves, right, without minimal effort from someone else, that is, they can do both the back end and the front end and build the full application, that person can become a full stack.
All right,
That's the
thank
short
you so
definition.
much.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Gospel. If somebody can handle both the front end and the back end, then you're gonna actually call that person a full stack web developer. So this question will actually be for Daniel Albert. Is a front end developer, also does full stack, and I think you've been in the right position. You know, all of these terminologies that we have, software engineering, software developer, web developer, are they all one and the same? Or how do we differentiate between all of these terminologies? Mr. Daniel Albert, you can give us a brief insight into what full stack web development is, and then in relation to all of these other names that people use in defining themselves, or all of these other job titles, are they all one are the same? Are they different? How do we differentiate them? How do I say I'm a software engineer and the other person is a web developer? How does this all work? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I will be here to clear the air on the differences between a front-end software developer and maybe a full-stack developer. So as my colleague mentioned it out earlier on, a full-stack developer is a person who does both front-end and back-end. So the front-end entails building what people see on computers or even on mobile phones, using different technology stacks. The most common one might be HTML and also maybe CSS. So on the backend developer now on the side for the full stack is the person who works majorly on the server side and ensures that the websites and maybe the mobile apps perform correctly. So that is now on the backend developer. So when a person combines these two, the front end and the back end, they definitely become definitely become a full stack developer. So on the difference between now a software developer and back end developer, Sometimes these words are used interchangeably. But a software developer is a person who has a skill in computer programming generally. So I think I was able maybe to answer in the bit where we have the software developer and full stack developer.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel, for that brief explanation. And I want to believe everyone else got something from what he has just said. If you did, please, can you confirm with an emoji or something? Yeah, thank you so much, Laolu. I expect more reactions. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, okay, Muka, this is okay. Frank is okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, enter me. Yeah, do now. All right, my next question goes to Princess Olufemi. Okay, IJ Irabo raised a hand. I don't know if that's to ask a question, to make a contribution, or anything. But you can try using the chat section. Yeah, thank you so much. You can try using the chat section. So, all right. Okay, so our next Our next question would actually be to Princess Olufemi. Now, you are the programs manager here at Newton Academy for Full Stack Web Development. Can you give us a brief insight into how the environment is here in Newton Academy Full Stack Web Development Training? If you can give us a brief insight into the outline here in Newton Academy, how does it work here in Newton Academy, the programs? Thank you. So I'm actually bringing this question up first for the sake of those who can't stay through to the end, so that they have the meat of it all. Yeah, thank you so much. So Princess, over to you. How is it like? Give us a brief insight into the world of full stack web development here in Newton Academy.
At Newton Academy, for full stack development, we have three phases. Firstly, there's the introduction phase for those that don't even know anything about full stack development. Like the program is a 9-month diploma course. For those that don't have the any knowledge about full stack development, the lecturer tries to introduce them to what full stack is all about, and then what they can, as a developer, how they can use that full stack development to their benefit, and also try to introduce them to the tools they need as a full stack developer on their journey to full stack development. And then they start mainly with the front end. When after introduction to what full stack development is and the tools they need, the lecturer then starts mainly with front end development, basically HTML, CSS, and then move on to JavaScript, and then JavaScript framework, and that's React JS, and then tries to give them project to work on. The student currently working on is working on a project on his own, because he has been in the program for about 3 months now, and then to test his knowledge of what he has learned, the lecturer gave him a project to work on, and then we look into the project, we assess the project, and then wherever he needs help, wherever he's still lacking, we try to help him. And then after the front end phase, the lecturer introduced them to the back end phase, then the server side, the database, and the deployment process too. Hello? Hello? The voice not on.
I think Favor left the call. Let's wait for her to join back.
Okay.
She may
So
have
for
dropped us. Yeah.
Oh, so sorry, I've been speaking. I'm absolutely sorry. So what I was saying was, for someone like me who doesn't have a foundation in full stack web development, does that mean that I will be given a separate class to go through the introductory aspect of full stack web development, or is it everyone who gets carried along from the introductory phase up till the advanced stage? Is that what you mean, Ma?
um, for those that don't have knowledge of full stack development and want to be a full stack developer, there's an introductory video for which they will watch, and then when the live class starts, they tend to ask their questions, what they need them, wherever they're having problem, what they do not understand, wherever they are stuck, the lecturer attends to their question so they can move on. It's not that there's a separate class. So wherever they are stuck, the lecturer tries to help them to understand, and then they move on with their journey of full stack development.
All right, thank you so much for that brief explanation. Yep. So, right into the real deal of the day, our journeys. How did it all start? And how did we progress to where we are now? So, Mr. Daniel, you'll be going first. What inspired you to become a full stack web developer? You're the full stack web developer on the team. So, what was the inspiration behind you starting out, the learning, and yeah, what inspired you to actually start out? Thank you.
All right. Well, my inspiration to begin with was my fascination with technology and its potentials to solve real world problems that we face on a daily. So that is what sparked my interest in becoming a full stack web developer. I was also drawn by the idea of creating good applications. To begin with, for the front end, I was also inspired by creating beautiful user interfaces that could positively impact people's lives and enhance user experience on the internet. So that's basically my inspiration of becoming a full stack web developer. What do you favor? I think you're muted.
You're muted if you're speaking, Favor.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So I said I didn't get the details of what he was saying because the voice was quite dim. So if you can actually help go over that again, I would really appreciate.
Yeah. Can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. I was talking about it. Yeah. I was going through inspiration on becoming a full stack web developer. To begin with, I was on the point where it was all fascination with technology and its potentials to solve some real world problems that we have currently. So on top of that, also what inspired me was the idea of creating applications, beautiful user interfaces, both on mobile and also on the web. So that was my greatest inspiration. So whenever I be on the internet surfing different websites, so the user experience for me, that is always an inspiration. So trying to maybe build what somebody else is able to build and have it out there for the world to see. So all of this inspired me trying each and every day to impact people's lives and enhance some user experience on the internet. Over to you, Favor.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for going over that again. So my next question, I hope it's not echoing.
It actually is.
Sorry, what did you say? I hope my voice is not echoing.
We're actually getting an echo from your end.
All right. So my next question goes to Mr. Gospel. We would love to know, for you, what was your inspiration behind um starting out in software engineering? I mean, did you start out right from the onset as a software engineer, or there was some process you actually went through to get to where you are now?
No, thank you. Of course, there was a process. So, but what actually triggered my decision to do software? So, I actually love building things. My intention was to build cars, but it seems that was a little bit far fetched from me because at the time, then I didn't know I didn't have anybody who was ahead of me that I could say, oh, this person built cars, right? But I love building things generally. So when I was I think in my final class in secondary school, I decided to start. I went into software engineering, like software. Started building from front end and doing some stuff. I do some free project for friends and fellowship like that. So, but my own motivation is to build things, not necessarily for money.
That sounds quite interesting. Your motivation was to build and not necessarily for money. So you started out just helping people out, and that led to the point where you are today. So you started out building things, that you mean software, right?
Yeah, basically I started out building web applications. I know there was also some programs that I did build actually. like program that can help you automatically copy certain files. Like once you just plug it into your flash drive, you can copy certain files. Maybe let's say just PNG files. You can search to your system, copy just PNG files. Program that can help you import things into your Microsoft Word. So those are kind of small programs I was building in those days just to make life easy for friends and family. And then program that can help you delete all your let's say Word document in case you want to clear every Word document that is maybe up to like 30 days old, right? And you want to search and clear them. Okay, so those kind of programs. And then maybe I know some of us used to use something like Vote. There's this Vote we use on Microsoft or Windows system that once you lost the password, it was very hard for you to get because this thing was really buried into the kind of configuration was buried to the system, like very down into the program kernel. So in case you lost that Vote, you can actually retrieve the password. So with the help of those kind of program with your flash drive, it can help you retrieve. So aside web application, I was doing some small like normal programming stuff, right? That will just help you do things around your computer automatically.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Gospel. So this means you were a which English should I call it now? Okay, what job title would you give yourself back then?
Okay, so back then, yeah, it's been like more than 10 years, but then we didn't have a job title for it. But I could just say I was just doing programming. For now, I don't know if they have another word for it, but I know programming fits that very well. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Gospel. I think this is a really fresh story for a lot of people starting, and it's something that they should be able to relate with, or it's most likely the position a lot of people are in right now. So my next question goes to Princess Oluwafemi. Is she still on the call? Please kindly confirm.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, ma. So tell us, how was it learning how to code? Were you a computer guru right from secondary school, primary school? Your parents, did they force you to go to learn computer? How was it like um, up to the point of now learning how to code? How was it?
Uh, I wasn't forced. It was a decision I made on my own. I made the decision to study computer science, and then when I got to university, with the Nigerian system mostly teach theories, and even if they teach practical, it's just written code that I will just write in book and stuff. So I didn't understand anything. Not until when I was in my third year, there was a particular lecturer that he is always about practical, and then he came to class and told us that everybody must be bringing system, and the course he was taking was web. That was where I got the interest in. And he made it so easy for us to learn how to code. It wasn't that stress. Even though the journey to learn how to code is not that easy. It takes patience, and then because there are some times that there are some bugs you have to be patient with because you not really get the solution to the problem on time, but then patience, with patience, with perseverance, you'll be able to work on it, and then you'll be able to solve that problem.
Okay, thank you so much, Mar. So you're saying you took the decision to learn computer science and that you weren't forced. So was it that you were all along from your younger years a computer savvy person? You always love to deal with computer software and all of that.
No, not from the start. Um, Even while I was in secondary school, I didn't really like computer, but I we have this our neighbor, the family friend that is a computer guru, and the way he used to talk about computer, I'm just like, what is this computer all about? And then when I had the opportunity um to work on a computer, and then I understood is always talking about computer. I was so fascinated that this computer thing there, if this is how it works, I would also like to work, and I also like to go on that journey. Then I started developing passion when I got to my third year in even while I was in university. I was it was because of the theory, because of the Nigerian system whereby we deal with theory. I almost gave up on studying computer science, but not until the lecturer that I talked about, not until when he came to class, and then it changed my perspective, and I started developing passion for computer science and that development.
All right, thank you so much, Miss Princess. That was actually a relatable story to follow. So, for many of us, I would believe that. Okay, let me even give myself as an example. I never cared about anything tech when they tried teaching us how to use computer in school, because I went to a private school that had fairly a good we had fairly good props, but I don't know, ordinary Microsoft Word, ordinary even Excel, it was a tough time because you had to share system with people and try to practicalize all the theories they've taught you. It just was jargons to me until when I got my first personal phone and I began experimenting a few things, and then my interest kind of kicked in the aspects that I am. Oh, because me and coding, I don't think we would have a business, but well, they've said everybody should learn basic coding, so I'm looking forward to learning basic coding. Let's just leave it at that. All right, my next question would go to Daniel. Daniel, I would like you to tell us what are the essential skills that people who are looking to get into full stack web development, what are the essential skills that you think they should focus on acquiring? Should they just go, is coding a topic on its own where they just learn everything that they have to deal with, or there are specific, or is there a step-by-step process for approaching this thing? Thank you so much.
All right. On my end, what I will term as essential skills for a full stack developer. I think I mentioned some of them in my previous discussion. So for some of these essential skills will entail both front end and back end. So what front end developers should mainly focus on would be languages, the programming languages that are connected with front end development. For example, HTML. I think most of us here know about HTML and have interacted with the HTML, which is a markup language for websites. So this is entirely in my days of learning programming. This is the first language I interacted with for the web. And I think most of us have done the same also. Then after HTML, of course, you are you're introduced to CSS, which is now the styling for the HTML that you already learned. And once you're done with CSS, of course, you now get introduced to JavaScript. So JavaScript is a scripting language that I believe has greatly evolved from the previous JavaScript that most of maybe my seniors learned. Up to this date is somehow mind-blowing, because right now we are introduced to other libraries, frameworks for JavaScript, which to me is a plus. So that is the skills that maybe are somehow essential for a front-end developer. So now for you to become a full-stack developer, of course, you have to learn the back-end development of it. To be specific, some of the programming languages that come with back-end development, for example, Python now and Node.js, so that you can be able to connect the two, front-end and back-end. So it's not only now the programming languages that someone has to be acquainted with. But then lastly, we may have databases. So databases, for example, there's SQL databases and also NoSQL. I think they're somehow different. So for the SQL is structured programming databases that someone has to be having knowledge on. So for the SQL and now NoSQL, which are somehow popular nowadays. So for you to become a full stack developer, you have to have all the skills, the front end and the back end, and now have knowledge a little bit on databases, and also scripting on servers. So apart from the programming languages that you might want to interact with, you might also want to have passion in problem solving, critical thinking, being able to have the know-how on how to put things together so that you may be able to solve a certain problem. And lastly, you might also want to touch on your communication skills to be able to air out your ideas to everyone. So that's all from my end, Favor. I hope
Yeah, you actually really did justice to this. I mean, adding that aspect of your communication skills as the last thing, that actually sounded interesting to listen to. Thank you so much for running through all of that. So, for those out there, I'm sure you took note of all these things. Ensure to start out with learning as much as you can about languages and then HTML. And he added that there's some new technology. So for those who are already in the works, you might want to look at those new technologies that he just mentioned, Node.js and the likes. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. And yeah, my next question goes to Mr. Gospel. Mr. Gospel, can you confirm? Are you still there? Can you hear me? Mr. Gospel? Mr. Gospel, are you still with us? Okay, if Mr. Gospel is probably cut off for some reason, I'll throw this question to Princess. Madam Princess, please, can you walk us through a random day in the life of a web developer? How is it like working as a web developer? Probably if you get a project, how do you go about executing? What's the first thing you need to do? What's the next thing you need to do? And on like that. Okay, it seems like Madam Princess is also off the call. Yeah, I would like to throw this question to our students. He introduced himself earlier, Frank Arimoro. Oh, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but pardon me, please. Pardon me. Now, you said you started out as a front-end developer, and now you are learning full stack web development. So I want you to give us some insight into the challenges that you face trying to transition. What are the challenges that you are facing or that you faced? Why did you make the decision to transition to full stack? And I would expect that since you already know front end, then why should it be so difficult to transition into learning back end too? So how is it like? What is the rationale for the transitioning, and what are the challenges that you face? Why is it okay, let me just say why is it difficult, but what are the challenges that you're facing right now? Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
I think
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Mr. Gospel, I actually asked a question earlier, but I think the network cut you off. So that's why I went over to Mr. Frank. But I will come back to asking you that question and you speak. Let Mr. Frank just do his little bit. Thank you.
all right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, okay. First off, I like beautiful things, so I wanted to. When I was doing front end, it's mostly the interface, it's the UI, it's how the website looks, and to the customers or the clients, they detect how it should look and everything. And I enjoyed that, but I wanted something a bit more challenging since I like puzzle solving. And so I decided to go to full stack since, you also focus a bit on the back end. So basically one of the challenges I faced is the fact that you actually have to sit down and think, okay, how exactly would this work? And then you have to think in the should I say in the language itself. It's kind of like transitioning from English to maths. When you're using English, it's quite easy to put problems in there. You just construct sentences, but then when you bring in maths, you have numbers. So, and it's not just numbers, you have the syntax of numbers, you have how the operations of numbers, you have subtraction, multiplication, addition, and division. So it's kind of like that with front end and back end, front end and full stack. So when you have full stack, you start thinking, okay, how would this button work behind the scenes? Is it communicating properly with the computer here and even on other computers, things like that. So it's not an easy transition at all. Can you hear me?
Should I say I'm sorry about your predicament? But well, I want to believe it's actually a good decision that you've made to actually transition. And how well is it working for you?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. It's just I figure out that with each day I have to learn something new. So I should have to wake up each day and steady my mind or make sure that I get on with it so that I can progress. If not, I'll just be stagnated.
All right, well done. It's quite a good one that you decided to actually learn both places. And in my head, it actually seems to me it's something like you can see for the fact that you're learning both, you can experiment with how it looks in the front and then how it works behind the scene so that you personally who is creating are sure that from both ends it's actually working well, rather than have that in the hand of another person or wait on another person to actually tell you this is how it is, this is how it is not. All right, good luck on your transition journey. All right, over to Mr. Gospel. So I gave a question, I asked a question, how is it a random day in the life of a web developer? Because I can't ask you about full stack web development because of where you are, but in case you have a picture into how it's like, can you give us a picture? How does it work? Once you have a project, what happens next? Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. All right, so you can hear me clearly, right? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you,
Favor.
sir.
Okay, okay. So to transition from front end to full stack, right? That's the question, right? Um, what to actually transition means that you
Sorry,
have.
Mr. Gospel, that actually wasn't the question for you. That was a question for Mr. Frank. The question for you is a random day in the life of a full stack web developer. How is it like? Once you get a project, what happens next?
All right. Oh, so I haven't really met many full stack developer in my life, but that wouldn't say that uh, I am not a full stack actually. So personally, I actually do full stack, but I can't call myself a full stack yet. I have my reasons, right? It's personal because I I don't really agree with the word full stack. But I think when we started having some of these company and business and the HRO people trying to hire engineers, then people started coming up with some certain names. I'm leaving that to them, right? I'm not a business person, but engineering wise, what happens in the life of a software engineer, right? Or a full stack engineer. So a lot of senior engineers can actually do both back end and front end. That means that you are building the application back end, you're also doing your front end. A lot of senior engineers can do that. But when you get the project right, you want to really first of all understand what it entails. So, like for me, I start with a little bit of documentation. Um, so that's a different aspect. I need to know the process. I put everything like on that document and I look at it one after the other, right? So, for instance, what are the roadmaps to build this application? What do I need? What are the requirements? What are my inputs, right? So I need to know what is coming to the system. Then I design the endpoints. So the endpoint is more like what I need to communicate with my API, right? So irrespective of the platform I'm using. So I put all of that together. Right? It's a kind of cumbersome process, but I think starting with the documentation actually helps a lot to get the tax started, right? And then help you relax and know that, okay, this is what I'm going to face and this is what I need. But I know it's a very busy day. There are some days you are awake till 3 a.m. trying to figure out your way around it, right? I mean, it's a very taxing thing, irrespective of people saying, oh, it's easy, come on board, right? It's easy, but it's rigorous, right? Yeah. It's not like it's super hard, but it's rigorous. Thank you.
All right, well done, Mr. Gospel. So, um, quick question, please. Can you differentiate between engineering and development? Thank you.
No, it seems your voice is actually far from your mic, but I heard you actually. uh, engineering and software. Is that what you're saying? Right?
Yes, that's what. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
that's what.
Okay, so yeah, it's terminology, right? I'm the kind of person that like using the right time for it. So there's these people who call artisans. Yeah, so artisans. So it all started from back then. Initially, when the web came up, when the web came to life, right? When most of us started using the web, like 2003 or 2005, like that. We didn't have much of web applications. What we have were websites, right? And we had people that could design website for you. Like you had those guys that will say, I will design website for 40,000 naira, right? And you could just sit there with their laptop in business centers and they'll put some HTML and CSS pages together, right? It was obtainable like that on the web because then the web was new, especially to some of us in this part of the world. So we are just putting just static things together, right? So we call those people artisans, right? So, but when the industry started getting mature, we had people that kind of moved from programming to to web development, which is basically they were building web applications. So those were actually traditional programmers who were writing codes in maybe let's say C sharp, C or C++ or Python thereabout. So they were writing just more like program they put in CDs or disks or in flash drive or they put on their computer somewhere and they use it for some stuff, right? Or even program that run in some other devices aside your basic computer. But so when those kind of people saw the money that was into web, right? When they saw that the web was getting more traffic, web was getting more money, and there were more people doing more of web business because a lot of people want to go on the web, like churches, business, cafes, and the rest. So some of them who were normal traditional programmers left that part of their skill and say, okay, fine, let me take the same programming language and do it for the web. So we started having people like some Python programmers jump on the web, doing some web stuff, put some libraries together to get web pages up, right? And those were actually web applications because those applications could interact with your computer, they could interact with the memory of the computer and do a lot of things. So in order to kind of put the right word, those people we actually termed them as web engineers. Some of them can actually do like a lot of database design, complex stuff. So just to put the line between just an ordinary web designer or let's say an artisan, right? I use the word engineering because most of them were actually schooled, like they were actually very educated, and some of them had a background in engineering or let's say software engineering, and they have background in computer science, right? So in order not to mix up stuff, the industry kind of puts a kind of a little disparity. You can actually call it developer, you're right? You're still right. But when you want to maybe kind of make that difference that, this one is not just a web designer, but he's an application designer, like he builds application and he can actually program with other platform aside just the web, then we tend to use the word software engineer, right? And some of them can actually do some software stuff, not just web related stuff. So it's just a terminology difference. I may not entirely be so right, but I think most of us in the industry agree with my definition.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, this question, a quick one for Princess. Miss Princess, please, are you back in the call? Please confirm. Okay, if Miss
I don't
Princess
know
is
if it's
back
just
in
me,
the
but
call,
I can hardly hear favor again.
Yeah, I'm on the call, but you are far from the mic.
okay, I guess because I'm using a earpiece.
Yeah, I think the ear
Can
something
you hear
is
me?
what is
I guess
causing
it's
it.
because I'm using a earpiece.
Better now.
Okay, should I take off my earpiece?
Yeah, that would be better. Yes.
So you hear me clearly now, right?
Very clear.
All right, thank you. So this is a question. I wanted to know how long did it take to learn and then call yourself one of these terminologies? Miss Princess, I would love it if you answer that question. How long did it take you to learn? Is it up to the 9 months course that we're offering here in Newton Academy? Was it shorter? Did you go through a 8 weeks boot camp and then you feel you were full-fledged? How is it like? And what would you advise someone who wants to start learning? How long should he learn before he can call himself one of those titles? Thank you.
Hmm. How long? It depends on the person, not it depends on the person. For me, it took me around 6 months. That was when I was doing my undergraduate internship, my third year at in my third year. That I when I went for internship, the boss I had, he was so persistent that I must learn this thing before I leave. And then the internship was for 6 months. So every day he gives me project to work on, and then I must fulfill that task even before I leave. If I cannot fulfill that task, once I arrive the next day, is the first thing I must work on, and then I must submit it before I leave the place. So he was passionate. I like he was like I say he was insisting on me learning it before I leave the place. So within 6 months, I was able to. Even till now, I can't call myself a full stack developer because there are still so many things to learn in the context of full stack development. But then to have it took me 6 months to have at least a knowledge of what full stack development and to work on it and to work personally on it. So it depends on the person. Assuming my um the boss I had then was not insisting, and then I also took it with I didn't take it serious, then probably I would not even be able to learn it. I wouldn't have learned anything even up to now. So it depends on the person. Apart from the fact that the boss was insisting on me learning, I also was passionate on learning it, because even when I get home, when I leave my place of work then and I get home, I will work on it. Even my sisters be like, "What is this thing that you're doing? That just leave this thing and then go and face another thing." But then I was insisting on learning it. Even when I get them, even into the even into them deep into the night, I will be working on it even when everyone is asleep. And then I grabbed I had the knowledge of what it was. And so it depends on the person, not depends on the 9 months. So it depends on, even if these 9 months we are talking about, even if you take the course for 9 months and you do not work on it yourself, you do not personally sit down to work on it, I doubt if that person will be able to call himself a full stack developer.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Mer. So for you, it was about the 6 months period you spent doing your internship and so much dedication with the support of your boss who was insisting that you learn and you practice. So for anyone out there, the advice is that you give yourself to it, not pending even how long that you take to say you want to learn. You give yourself to it, practice as much as possible until you're confident enough to do one or two things, and then you can, would I say, market ready. Mr. Daniel, Mr. Albert, do you agree with that? Are you market ready once you can do one or two things with your skill?
Yeah. To me, yeah, I think that is true. Once you are confident in a skill that you learned, for example, you already learned React, you've gone through everything that has to do with the React library. So on my end, I think, yeah, you're very ready to use those skills somewhere else.
All right, thank you so much. So, my next question, I think we'll be able to cover for someone from a non-technical background how one can break into tech. Um, Now, this question is actually very important. We have a community that we have a community here in Newton, and one of the purposes of the community is to encourage collaboration. So, what is the place of collaboration? What is the place of communication? What is the place of mentorship? What is the place of someone you can actually share your challenges with, get resources from? What is the place of a community in your journey as a full stack web developer? Thank you. Mr. Gospel, Mr. Daniel, any of you two, would you like to answer this question?
Okay. So a community helps you to grow. So one thing about a community is that it helps you to see things from different perspective aside what you are looking at, right? It gives you a broader view of your skill. You know, no matter how much we think we are talented, we are still limited, right? But with given you have a community, you are able to also like jump on the back of others and do more. You can get assistance from people when you're stuck. You can see how other people solve the problems they solve or solve the same problem you are solving, right? So it gives you access to a lot of people's head, right? You have a lot of people's head, like a lot of minds to look into. So it's like someone who is well read, who have read several books. So you are able to assess people's mind and see what's going on. So you'll be more versatile than someone who is limited, who is just enclosed and doesn't have access to community.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Gospel. Please, at this point, if you have questions, we're about to round up in the next
I have a
15 minutes.
question. I have a
If you have
question.
questions,
I'm little, but I have a
okay, I
question.
know you have questions. Just drop them in the chat box, please. Thank you so much. At some point, I would allow us ask vocally. I would allow us ask vocally with our mics. So, Mr. Daniel, you raised your hand. You can speak. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Favor. So yeah, I'm going to speak a little bit on collaboration and maybe its importance by starting giving us maybe a short story that well, when I was starting development, my journey on software development and coding, I was privileged to work closely with a guy who developed some learning application in Kenya. So in Kenya we have most of these learning apps that give a person maybe loans every now and then based on some criteria that is calculated to give someone a loan. So I was privileged to work with this guy, but before maybe deeply engaging with this guy, I somewhat had some imposter syndrome. So I know like most of us have this sometimes. Yes, you have the skill and knowledge, but you're afraid maybe somebody might trash that, or maybe you might appear to be somehow a fraud in the tech space. So So what I learned from this guy was really a lot, because he was on some senior level while I wasn't, but he was able to understand my point of starting, and also learned a lot from his coding paradigms. I think most of them I've been able to implement on my daily life as at now. So yeah, I think the collaboration is very important because it makes you learn and grow from others, so that you may be able to be successful in your coding life. So that is all from my end. I think that is important also to note on the collaboration.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. Okay, now this is for Mr. Gospel specifically. What are the tools and what resources would you recommend someone to get into full stack web development? What are the resources? What are the places you feel this person should look at? And yeah, give us a brief insight into how Newton Academy provides some of those things. Thank you so much.
Okay, so some of the tools you need, right? Um, First of all, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So first of all, you need to know where. So your mind is the first tool you need actually. So you need to know what your interest in is, and once you know your interest and what and why you want to do this, it's very important to know why. So once you have that sorted, then you can look for which aspects kind of catch your fancy. So what we call full stack today is more like what we call general programming, right? So if you want to go into full stack like we are talking about here, that means you are talking about programming or web development in general. Because at the end of the day, everything you are learning is what you need to know, right? So then after you are done with your full stack programming or full stack software development course, you can then decide to take a niche, or maybe you want to still broaden down, but you can decide to be a specialist, right? And specialize in one aspect. You can decide to say, okay, I want to be a front end engineer. I want to be a back end engineer, right? So you can decide to specialize in a particular niche, and that's actually where you actually gain a lot when you are specializing. But if you really want to still broaden your whole full stack stuff, right, that means you have to be doing both. But um, I don't know how feasible that is, because a lot of big companies you work for may likely want to put you in one particular aspect. There's no way you're going to be building both the front end and back end, except you are doing personal projects, right? So the other physical tools you need. So talk about the programming language. Just pick one programming language. Don't go for too many. Pick just one or two. If you are doing full stack, of course, you need one and two programming. For instance, if you are doing full stack, you will need JavaScript, which runs on the web, and you also need Node.js, JavaScript, which runs on the server, right? So once you have those two, you have already picked your stack. Focus on that one. Look at the market adoption, the market adoption of those ones you are looking at. Then you need to have a laptop. Those are like the physical tools you need. You need to have a laptop, and then maybe internet connection. You need to have a table, and a quiet place to work or learn. So it doesn't mean if you don't have those, you can't do anything, right? You can still do stuff. But basically, you have an idea of what you will need to get started.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Gospel. The last few things you said, you need to have a table, you need a quiet place to work. Okay, what about someone who lives in a, I say, crammed up environment and probably has access to, or let's even say a rural area where the lighting is not even stable? How does one surmount those kind of challenges? That's actually by the way, but there might be someone who can benefit from giving them a picture of how it was for you. You might be in a rural area and have challenges with lighting, or not even in an environment where you have the luxury of having a personal table and chair or a quiet environment per se. So, how does one scale that kind of challenge?
Uh, they say where there's a will, there's a way, right? Um, so if you don't, if you're in a place where you don't have electricity, at least you have generator. So you can have a neighbor that have generator. You can have people that have those kind of things around you. So if some of us tell you our story, you won't believe that. You won't believe that we even came this far, right? Because I know when I was learning software development or programming in general, I didn't even have like good lights, a place to like sit and learn. I was going to cafe. In some case, I have to go to a filling station to learn, right? So somebody sitting at a fuel station and you are sitting outside with your gadget and your phone to just watch tutorial with your phone and then you practice. For me, I started programming with a notebook. I didn't have a computer, right? So what I do is that I have the books like the textbooks and the rest that the programs are written on. So I write the program back into my book and I use my hand to compile it. So I just use my pen to go through each of the line of program, compile it in my head. Then later you can put the program into a Dix, right? And go to a cyber cafe and run it there, right? And then you see the output. So some of us actually went through rigorous process, but with time, when you start making maybe a little money or people see how passionate you are, they decide to help you, and then community people like that. So yeah, help somehow comes from the corner when you are very passionate or when you know where you're going.
I'm actually shocked. For someone listening out there, I hope you see that you actually do not have an excuse, even if you don't have a laptop. For someone to be learning with a notebook, it's a gospel. Don't worry, next time we bring you live, we will give you an award. Wow. All right. So at this point, I would call up Frank to just round up for us. So far, how has it been learning full stack? How is your experience with the lecturer? How many months are you into it? What have you learned so far? Share your experience learning full stack development here in Newton Academy with us. And after that, we'll take questions. Thank you. Frank, over to you.
Okay, so far it's been all right. I've actually been enjoying it. It's just like most of what developers would say, you just need to practice intensely. So basically, it's just what I've been trying to do. It's been a long process, but yeah, um, we touched on various topics, especially on React. We've gone deep into React and even now we're doing Redux, but so far, um, well, yeah, so far it's been going well. I'm still practicing my JavaScript, so the React is entering small, small. Let me put it that way. So yeah, basically it's been okay, been quite all right. The teacher has been really he takes his time to explain. I appreciate that about him. And he always tells me to go back and relearn a few things. So that has also been quite helpful. Um, So far, it's been quite all right.
Thank you so much, Frank. So, Miss Princess, can you please come up and just give us a brief insight into how do we get started learning full stack web development in Newton Academy? Thank you. Miss Princess, are you there?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Uh, to start learning full stack development at Newton Academy, you after making that decision, you have to sign up, like create an account. You have to have a profile, and then you make your payment. And after then, we welcome you into Newton Academy, and then you start your journey by watching videos, and then we schedule live classes at least once per week when the lecturer is available, so that students can ask their question and get to practice coding alongside with the lecturer.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Femi. Ismail, now you can ask your questions. And if you also have questions, you can raise your hand and I'll call you up. Thank you. Okay, I thought someone heard me. Ismail, is Ismail still on this call? He had a question. Okay, since Ismail has gone off the call, anyone raising his or her hand, I can call you up to speak. I can see the chat section is bubbling with questions, and there are responses coming in. So once it's 9:30, we would be rounding off. So I really want to take this moment to appreciate every single person who joined this call. I mean, I am really, really, really happy that you took out this time to do so. Next week we would have another session, and this will be for those who want to start out their journey in data science and analysis. It will actually not just be a situation of sharing stories. We would actually be teaching data science for basically everyone, simple data science skills that everyone should have, because whether we like it or not, we deal with data, we deal with information, day in, day out. So I look forward to having every single person on this call on that call too. And until then, I trust that you remain. So if you want to reach out to any of the facilitators, their community, you can just ask a question, and I'll tag their names to it, and they would respond there in the community. If they have to have a call, or we schedule a personal discussion for you with them, or they have to send voice notes, provide resources, they are there on the group and you can always access them. All right. I think we'll move the rest of this conversation over to the community. God bless you. Have a blessed night. For those who are in any other time zone, have a good time. Have a good day. Thank you so much. And bye.